but afterwards she doesn't appear in the next game Sonic Colors, except the DS version, but that's not really canon. Well, looks like I was totally wrong this time. Sonic Colors DS is canon. This one's a real kicker too, because I'm literally debunking something I said in a previous theory. But the time has come. Now, for what it's worth, it doesn't really have any effect on the Tsunami theory I did with Scourge, but in this theory I will go into full detail on why I strongly believe that Sonic Colors DS is not only canon, but it's more canon than Sonic Colors on the Wii. Sounds crazy, right? You may be asking yourself right now, how do I even know this, and can I prove it? Most certainly. And it all stemmed from me casually watching the cutscenes of Sonic Colors on the Wii, when I saw something that I've completely overlooked for years. A clue that Sega inserted in the game to let us know that this was all just one game, one story. And it's alarming how no one was able to figure this out, until now. So sit back and enjoy as me and HuskyZee delve into this revelation and the true story you never knew about Sonic Colors. Welcome back everyone, I'm GamerGuy7Aces, and joining me on this epic theory is my partner in crime, HuskyZee. Alright, now this is a theory I'm definitely excited to make since I announced it earlier in May. Sonic Colors is a very peculiar game in the Sonic franchise. It was the game that changed a lot of things moving forward, and it's considered the Sonic game that brought the franchise back on its feet. Being received well from both critics and fans. From the voice cast to the more comedy-focused and seemingly childish story, to the fact that you start playing the first level before any cutscene, this game was pretty out there for a Sonic game at the time. Moreoverly because of the Wisps gameplay. Speaking of the Wisps, they were the main focus in Sonic Colors. According to Takashi Iizuka, the Wisps were added in Sonic Colors to expand and strengthen the platform action gameplay without forcing the player to switch to other playable characters. Another goal was to encourage players to revisit already played levels. This game came out in two versions, the Wii console version and the handheld DS version. Now, many people tend to automatically see the console version as the canon version of the game, while the handheld version is the non-canon or spin-off entry of the game. I too used to have that mindset, until I saw the ending cutscene of Sonic Colors on the Wii. Take a look. Did you see what I saw? Let's rewind that. Take a look at the Nega Wisps here very closely. You'll see two kinds. I'm specifically referring to the Void and Frenzy Wisps. Both are very similar Wisps as they both appear at the end cutscenes in both the Wii version of Colors and the DS version. What's odd about this is that the Frenzy Wisp is on the Wii version only, but the Void Wisp is a DS exclusive Wisp, as he doesn't appear at all in the Wii version as a playable Wisp. Why is that? Could this just be an error that Sega made, or a cutscene they did for both versions just to save time and cost of producing an extra CGI cutscene? I highly doubt that this is the latter, because if you watch the intro cutscene for both versions, which is also CGI, they are different. The Wii version shows the blue cube, green hover, pink spikes, and the purple frenzy, whereas the DS version shows the red burst and violet void instead. So, Sega knew what they were doing here, but one must ask, if this were the case, and Sega made two different cutscenes to separate the different Wisps that were exclusive to each system, why didn't they do the same thing with the ending cutscene? Did they get lazy, or was it a blooper? Neither, because Sega intended to use the same cutscene since both games are canon, which means that Sonic interacted with all 10 Wisps, including Yacker. But between the two games, which one is the most canon? That goes to Sonic Colors DS, as the Wii version only showed you part of the ending. The true ending was in the DS version.
You all might know the whole monster of the week formula that Sonic games have been using since the adventure days back on the Dreamcast. From Perfect Chaos to BioLizard to Metal Overlord, Solaris, Dark Gaia, etc. It's always been a staple of the series to include a big baddie at the end that betrays Dr. Eggman, and Sonic must defeat it. Repetitive as it may be, this is tradition. Even in the game after Sonic Colors, Sonic still had to defeat Time Eater. The only difference was that this was the first time that Eggman was in control of the situation instead of the other way around. The only Sonic game that truly deviated from this was Sonic Lost World. The monsters known as the Deadly Six betrayed Dr. Eggman at the beginning of the game, so the focus of the game is fighting them with Dr. Eggman until the very end when Eggman becomes the final boss. So we've all been fooled, haven't we? To think that it was Sonic Colors, the first game and last to not use the Monster of the Week boss. In Colors DS, after you defeat Dr. Eggman, we get introduced to the Mother Wisp, the mother of all Wisps, and the creator of Planet Wisp. And easily the most powerful Wisp in the entire series, was even able to generate Hyper-Gohan energy. So ask yourself this, just where and how could Eggman be able to control this Hyper-Gohan energy so easily without Mother Wisp interfering to stop him? It just doesn't make any sense. If you only consider the Wii version as a canon game, but if you fit in Colors DS, it starts to make more sense. I mean, this isn't anything new. Eggman used godlike monsters before, going back to the Monster of the Wii formula I previously discussed. So why would Sonic Team omit such a formula that's been used for years? Well, what if I told you that Colors DS and Wii are meant to be played side by side to get the full story and experience? Sonic Colors was the first game in the series to introduce the idea of separate versions of the same game. But in Color DS's case, there's more lore and story which explains how Dr. Eggman was capable to even capture the Wisps, which was mainly because of Mother Wisp and her power.
Another glaring issue that is in the console version is that Sonic's friends are not in the game, besides Tails, which doesn't make any sense. Dr. Eggman built his interstellar amusement park for visitors to prove that he's been remorseful for his past transgressions in the series, when really it was just a distraction to disguise what he was really up to. The Wii version makes it seem like Sonic and Tails snuck into the park before anyone else got to it, but that's misleading. Eggman's voice announcements and many instances of the dialogue in Sonic Colors refers to there being several visitors in this game. So Sonic and Tails were not the first and only guests in the amusement park. They were just the ones who went there to investigate what was going on. Especially since Sonic was reluctant to believe that Eggman turned a new leaf all of a sudden. So Sonic's friends, Knuckles, Amy, Silver, Blaze, Omega, Rouge, Shadow, the Chaotix, Cream, and Big the Cat were all in this game and interacted with Sonic and Tails occasionally. But wait, what is Blaze doing in this game? Shouldn't she be in another dimension? And isn't Silver supposed to be in the future now? And hold on, why is Knuckles chilling in space when he should be guarding the Master Emerald over at Angel Island? You know what? I think it's safe to say that Sega just doesn't care anymore about the history of some of these characters. Plus, if they did care, we wouldn't be seeing Blaze, Silver, and Knuckles anymore. So, whatever. But yeah, Sonic's friends were definitely busy enjoying the theme park while Sonic and Tails were fighting Eggman. How they were so oblivious to what was really going on is beyond me. In fact, many people poked fun of this online with some animation parodies on YouTube and etc. The biggest plot hole in this whole story is when the interstellar amusement park gets destroyed and implodes. How on earth were Sonic's friends able to escape? Not even Sonic could outrun the artificial black hole that was caused from the destruction, and he even made sure that Tails was safe back on Earth before taking on Eggman. Well, it's time for me to piece this whole Sonic Colors story together. Okay, so it begins like this. Prior to the events of Sonic Colors, the Wisps were kidnapped by Dr. Eggman when the Doctor used his tractor beam generators to pull their planets across the universe into the Earth's orbit. There, Eggman made the planets a part of his interstellar amusement park, which the Doctor had built under the pretense of making up for past transgressions, by chaining them to the Egg Mecha via his generators. The Wisps, now scattered across the amusement park, were then steadily scooped up by Eggman's forces and taken to a factory in Asteroid Coaster to be drained of their Hyper-Gohan energy, which Eggman planned to use as fuel for a mind control cannon to take over the universe with. The Hyper-Gohan conversion process also produced thousands of Nega Wisps, whom Eggman forced to carry out his orders and further power his mind control cannon. Mother Wisp also got captured by Eggman too, and turned into the Nega Mother Wisp after he took her Hyper-Gohan. However, the Nega Mother Wisp could not be controlled and eventually escaped captivity. Eventually, a white wisp named Yacker and the cyan wisp were saved by Sonic the Hedgehog, who had come to the amusement park with Tails to stop Eggman when Orbot and Cubot attempted to capture them, prompting the cyan wisp to give Sonic his first color power.
Meanwhile, Sonic's friends also arrived at the amusement park to explore the place and have fun, oblivious of what's really going on. As Sonic got to work foiling Eggman's operation, Yacker met Tails, who began turning his handheld into a Wisp translator so he could understand Yacker. Once Tails was ready, Yacker convinced him and Sonic to save the Wisps after informing them of what was really going on to his people, and thus, the trio began investigating the park's planets in search of captive Wisps, who in turn provided Sonic with color powers, while Yacker let Sonic and Tails in on Eggman's activities. Eventually, Yacker helped Sonic and Tails figure out that by destroying all the tractor beam generators, they could free all the kidnapped planets, thus foiling Eggman's plan and allowing the Wisps to escape the Doctor. Having already destroyed 2 generators, Sonic would destroy the remaining 3 and liberate the captive Wisps. Along the way, he and Tails also put a stop to Eggman's Nega Wisp factory. The Wisps would also join Sonic and Tails in the tropical resorts to celebrate their victory. However, they cut the celebration short when Eggman accidentally created a black hole and began consuming the Egg Mecha. All of Sonic's friends take note of this and escape with the traveling pods that were used to arrive in the park, leaving only one left for Sonic and Tails to escape. Of course, Sonic pushes Tails in the last pod right before a subsequent showdown with Dr. Eggman, who tries using the Wisps against Sonic with his Nega Wisp armor. Instead, Sonic used the Wisps to defeat Eggman. Afterward, the Wisp race used their powers to save Sonic when the black hole almost swallowed him, restored the Nega Wisp to normal, and neutralized the black hole before it could destroy Earth. Visiting Earth one last time with his people, Yacker said goodbye to Sonic and Tails, rejoining his people as they returned to their planets, to their original places in the universe. After Eggman's amusement park was destroyed, the Nega Mother Wisps appeared and went on a rampage. However, she was stopped and returned to normal by Supersonic upon Yacker's request, allowing her to rejoin her children back home, thus ending the complete story of Sonic Colors.
And last but not least, to prove my point even further that both versions of the game were canon, the Red Burst Wisp is used in Sonic Forces by means of Wispons, which are guns powered by hyper-go-on energy that the Avatar characters use in the game. So that confirms that all these Wisps are canon and connected. Yes, even the Rhythm Wisp from Sonic Lost World 2. Anyway, perhaps the reason why Sega divided the story of Sonic Colors into 2 versions was to make the Wii version more kid-friendly and left the extra story bits to the DS version, which was more brief and had no jokes, but focused on the lore. Who knows? But in conclusion, the DS version of Colors actually had more relevancy to the Sonic canon than we previously thought. So much for Sonic Colors not having much of a deep story, right? Well, never judge a book by its cover, because I said it once, and I'll say it again. Sonic Colors is one of the most ambitious 3D Sonic games ever made. So, what do you theorizers think about this canonical revelation? I guess now we can include Sonic Colors as relevant to the Sonic canon, and thus ending the debate.
Well, that was a doozy. I hope we were able to provide some clarity regarding this topic. Thanks for watching.
And stay tuned for the next Sonic Theory, which will be covering the next title, Sonic Generations. Until then, this is Gamer Guy 7 Aces and HuskyZee signing out. See you all next time.